Hey guys, this is part 3 of the Class 2 competition build with the TRX 4. Now, for this build, we're going to get into the chassis, and I've got some BowHouse stuff for you guys. I'm also installing some Terreal front shock towers because they're aluminum, and I'll explain why. Take a look. Okay, here's the TRX 4 Sport chassis. It has about 5 runs on it, so it does have some usage. Now, I put the Hot Racing aluminum lower link mounts and panhard mount on the axles that I built in the first video, part 1. So I've got those there for rigidity. Now, these right here are the front shock mounts. Now these will add some rigidity and stop any shifting you may have in the plastic mount. Sometimes that will move a little bit, and the aluminum just kind of secures that quite a bit better. And my links are keeping me from laying that back down. There we go. Now, the Bowhouse Belly. This thing right here should go on pretty darn nice. It's made of, I believe, a carbon fiber impregnated or glass impregnated nylon. Should be super strong. And here is a front bumper mount winch mount. So this right here mounts a servo winch. And for the servo winch, I built this. This is a low profile, high voltage servo. This thing was a pain in the butt. Usually when I build the servo winch, they're pretty easy at this point, but I actually had to take the entire board out and replace that with one out of a Turnigy 959 to power this thing. But anyway, now this particular one, usually when I do these, I just run a JST plug directly to the motor tabs and use a 1060 servo or a 1060 ESC as a servo winch controller. Now, for this one, I'm trying to avoid the weight of a 1060. You know, all the little weight adds up. So this will be driven directly from the receiver or a Castle BEC 2.0 that I'm going to bypass to this, and also a Reese 555 servo. They're both going to be running on 8 volts. With the front end apart, here's your stock front shock tower. Now I'll use the brace to go across here and go ahead and use this part again. But the Terreal shock mounts are about to go on. These actually went on so nice, and they're adjustable and all that, that I may actually get another set for the back. Just because it's a much cleaner look, a little more competition-y. So I may actually get a set for the back. Just because so far these are really impressive. So to put the BowHouse bumper winch mount into the chassis, it was a little bit too tight for me. I wanted to make it go in a little bit easier. So I shaved a little bit off of these tabs right here, so it could go in without spreading the chassis. Because I really didn't want it to spread the chassis much at all. So, I mean, will it fit in, you know, straight out of the package? Of course. But I kind of wanted to shave it down a little bit just to get it in there a little bit better for my application. The BowHouse bumper mount and servo winch mount is in. Looking good. Everything bolted right up. Got the little servo kind of mocked up a little bit. Now I am having a clearance problem over here. On most any normal size servo, you won't have that issue. I'll have to trim it when I figure out whether the splines are going up here or down here. Probably down here, I'm just not 100% sure yet, but I'll just make the necessary trims and make it fit. Now it's time for the belly. Let's swap this beauty in. With the stock belly and all, you can see it's in 2 pieces, and there's a long bolt that goes through the bottom of the slider that actually holds your top link in place. So all this is coming out. In place is the BowHouse belly. Now here you can see a little bit more of the print and how well they did on this thing. Now this glass impregnated nylon, I don't foresee any issues. Plus it's hard and it's kind of slick. So these little rises right here should not be an issue. I hope they won't. I mean, if I find myself getting hung up on these, then, well, I'll either have to modify this or put that back in, which I'd rather not. However, let's go ahead and get this thing installed. So at this point it's ready to go back in. Now the top links, they don't quite have the holders like what TRX's Belly has, or at least a little, slots where they go in and just kind of sit there. So those will have to go in when I put the slider bolts back in. And the belly's in place. It went in pretty good. Most of the holes lined up perfectly. I kind of had to angle some bolts just enough to get them started, but they went in pretty darn good. It doesn't look bad at all underneath. The way the suspension arms are, it really isn't bad at all. So hopefully the added clearance will work out good for me. And that's the top side. So, not bad. So that's it for part 3. The BowHouse stuff went in pretty good. I did have to adjust a few little things to fit my vehicle. Not that my vehicle is any different from anybody else's. I just want things to fit just right. You know how when you just want it perfect. So anyway, the BowHouse pieces are going to work out fine. The Trill, however you pronounce their name, Trill, I guess. Those shock towers are really nice. They went in perfectly. Now that I have the aluminum shock towers with the panhard mount at the chassis, I've got the aluminum pieces on the axles, so that'll eliminate any flex between those two pieces and give you much more accurate steering. So that's the main reason for doing that. Now as far as the Trill shock towers go, I do like them enough that I will put a set on the back. So that'll be in a part 4 probably, something like that. However, in part 4, I'm probably going to go ahead and mount the transmission and the axles. So, guys, stay tuned and thank you all for watching.